Hey everyone. So there's been a lot of changes in AI music recently. Literally, yesterday, UDIO changed to a subscription model, which I'll go into in a second. But also, there is now a potential killer of UDIO and SUNO because there's been a new tool that's been discussed on Twitter that could completely, again, shake up AI music technology. So, first of all, we consider Suno and Udio to be pretty much the top two platforms for AI music. And yesterday, Udio, which is in beta, actually launched new features, including in painting, which is a bit buggy right now, but they are working to fix that. I'm not going to explain that on this video, but if you go into announcements, you can see that. But the big news really is the fact that they have introduced and announced subscription tiers. So you get an awful lot of credits. I mean, 1,200 credits per month is massive to generate 30-second clips and is going to be $10 a month. And for those that need more, like pro tiers, there is 4,800 credits a month priced at $30, with annual subscriptions receiving a 20% discount for both of those. Now, what they have done, which I thought was really good, was anybody who's signed up for the free tier will get 400 additional credits to thank them for being early users, which I thought was great. But also, they will continue with a free tier, which will give a monthly refresh of 100 credits, as well as daily top ups of 10 credits. So I think that's quite reasonable. There's huge discussions about the legality of all of this, fair use. Top Music Attorney on YouTube is a good example of that. There's a lot of concern about where this data has been scraped, whether it has been scraped off Spotify, because Spotify can offer 30 seconds for free of a music via URL, and it's whether something like that was utilized for Udio, and they remain quite secretive regarding where they've got their data from. So, but what they have also improved on are things like tree view, so you can see if for your latest generation exactly what the generation tree has been in terms of all of the different generations that you've done for that one particular song. They've also increased the track length to 15 minutes, which is brilliant. And rather than looking back back 30 seconds previously when it's generating a new extension of the track, it's now going to look at 2 minutes rather than 30 seconds, as well as various UI updates as well. But let's have a look at the new competitor, shall we? So 11 Labs, which you might be familiar with, have given on Twitter or X kind of an early preview of these songs, and I thought, oh, okay, it's not going to be absolutely incredible. But then when I started to listen to them, I started to realize the clarity of them. So, enough of me talking. Let's check out one of their first examples, shall we? Which is known as a pop song and pop rock country top chart song. And we'll go into a bit more detail on this, but I just want you to have a listen. But this is generated from a single text prompt with no edits. Okay, so let's go.
We were having fun, programming young, dreaming that one day we'd make it work. Lines of code we'd write all night, hoping that one day we'd get it right. Can we teach the machine to sing? Can we teach the machine to dream? And then, ooh, it started to sing. No, this can't be real. It's just a machine, but the melody, ooh, it's all too real. And those words, they make me feel.
Okay, so that's that's the first example. Now, for me, that is very similar to, say, Udio in terms of the clarity of the vocals, but I'd say that's still another level above what Udio is currently doing. Now, you'd have to do quite a few generations to get a really good crystal clear vocal like this one. And UDIO is very good at harmonization of vocals as well, but this seems to knock it out of the water, and that's what I was so impressed with. I mean, this was only announced yesterday, and it's already had over 344,000 views, which is no surprise. You know, that is like radio ready music, in my opinion. Now, what we'll do is we'll have another different style. So this one's called It Started to Sing, which is more jazz pop. So let's have a listen to that.
We were having fun, programming young, dreaming of one day becoming someone. Lines of code we'd write all night, hoping that one day we'd get it right. Can we teach the machine to sing? Can we teach the machine to dream? And then, ooh, it started to sing.
Okay. So again, very impressive. I think that's a really interesting spin. Now, you've got to be conscious that this is cherry picked, right? So it may not be the best or kind of like the generic use of the tool, but it just gives you an idea of what is possible. So for those in a bit more of an R&B style with maybe some electronic elements, this is the prompt here. So you got pulsing 104 beats per minute drum machine beat, filtered synths, lush electric piano, soaring strings with an intimate mood. So let's check this one out as well.
'Cause I can't no more go through the back door, 'cause you're too much to bear.
Skip this.
I'm overwhelmed with your love. Love gone empty. Love gone empty.
Wow.
Broke my heart to fill you up. Broke my heart to fill you up. It's like breathing in and out, or inhale the love then let you down. Broke my heart to fill you up. It's like breathing in and out. Wait, it's like I'm breathing in and out. One look, why you?
For people that say that AI music doesn't have any emotion, I find that really hard for me because I'm such a fan of music. You know, my collection on my MP3 player is well over 25,000 tracks now. So, as a huge listener of music, I'm quite astonished with how good this stuff actually is. The emotion that's coming out for me, including the AI music that I'm generating and producing, I've just been so impressed with, you know, and that's thanks to tools such as SUNO and UDIO. And particularly, what I'm finding really challenging right now is that AI music really needs to be categorized into different things. For example, is it 100% generated AI? This obviously is, but for me as a music producer that's been making music since the age of like 7, 8 years old, I'll always try and modify and rearrange and add my own instruments to it and splice stuff out and chop and change, you know, and master it and mix it. And I try and do so much. But what is apparent to me is that we do need a way of categorizing AI music, because what I'm very conscious of is releasing music that's has a huge likelihood of knowing that it's AI generated, may not have any credit from the public at all. They may just say, "Oh, that person's clicked a button." You know, the perception of AI generated music is purely robots. You know, a robot has generated this model, a computer has generated this song, and there's been no human intervention at all. For me as a music producer, I'm very conscious that I don't just put out 100% AI generated material, because it's really important for me as my name and my brand Cyber Monday is that it all fits with my brand and what I've released before. And certainly when something is completely different, then I've released stuff as Cyber Wednesday, for example. But it's just something to be aware of. I do feel that the people have a very narrow view of AI music at the moment, and quite rightly in some respects, particularly if you're in sync. Your job is potentially at risk with these tools, and particularly if they have been plagiarized or utilized um, not fair use content, then that is very concerning for the industry. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. And if you are interested in that stuff, please subscribe. Let's check an indie rock song now with 90s influences from the same tool with distorted guitars, drum beats, etc.
From my lemon bar and let you drown. Should I just approach her?
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to, elaborate a bit more on this to actually understand how they're generating this, where they've got their data from. So 11 Labs have really focused on text to speech and speech to speech, where it's using AI models to actually generate very realistic speech talking. And the model has been amazing, particularly over the last year. It's kind of really developed into lots of different tools. You got various voice cloning that you can do. You've got various projects you can dub. There's a lot of resources as well if you're interested in terms of how they get their training the AI model, etc. But they are on subscription models, so that's something to bear in mind. But there's not much about that tool. Now, what is important to say is that I don't often feature tools that aren't currently launched yet. But I did feel I needed to because UDIO and SUNO are the main contenders out there currently. So anything that's going to rock the boat with the AI music industry is really important for me. But there is another one on the horizon, which is Jukebox by OpenAI. Now this is going back to 2020, and the the music that was generated even then was on par with what we're listening to now. I'm not going to put these on now because of potential copyright issues with YouTube. But there's a lot of stuff coming out. Um, like Udio and Suno, and now that they're direct competitors, there will be lots of features coming out in the near future. I can't wait for stem extraction, for example, maybe being able to template a particular track that you've generated so that you can use that for a new track generation, completely brand new track, but based on the same vocalist and the same style of music with the same instruments. So I'm really looking forward to that. But it is making me wonder what the likes of OpenAI are going to bring out. So they talked about their jukebox many years ago, 4 years ago, and they were saying, it's going to be 44K samples per second, which indicates that might be WAV format, or it could be MP3, but it could be WAV format. How they actually came, to develop this model. I'm not going to go into this into technical detail, but it's all about the decoding and restructuring the data set. Now they've been quite um, good here in terms of explaining how they trained their model. 1.2 million songs with lyrics and metadata from the lyric wiki. They haven't said where those songs have come from, though, to be fair, but they have gathered things like metadata, which is really important so that the prompts understand what you want. For that to happen, they need to understand what genres are, years of songs, moods, keywords, and obviously they have to scrape all that data. So they scrape raw audio as well as 32-bit, and finding out the best ways to do that can be a challenge if you're doing your own model. But this was 4 years ago and it still hasn't been released. They talk about lyric conditioning, some of the limitations, but what they have actually said that they're looking at great functionality in terms of stem files, MIDI files, and from a music producer perspective, that can really save time. There are AI tools that can extract for MIDI from audio, but they're not often like 100% accurate. There's always some tweaking involved, but the main part is that it really helps music producers just to kind of find shortcuts and good tools to make their life easier. So they started this audio model back in 2019 and they kind of stopped here. So it does make you wonder who else is going to become a contender in the AI music industry. I find it absolutely fascinating. So the fact that 11 Labs have discussed this on Twitter in terms of their new tool, that does suggest that that might be coming out soon. I'd like to think that it is better than UDIO and SUNO, and that there is that opportunity to be released soon. But we'll just have to wait and see. And I mean, from my point of view, I'm very happy with UDIO. I found SUNO was amazing, and then UDIO came out, and oh my gosh, I just couldn't believe the improvements on the vocals. The vocals really struggle on SUNO, but this is the worst it's going to get, and this has happened in such a short space of time. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the coming months. And can you imagine a year? It could be like 6 years ahead in maybe 1 year. So I can't wait to find out how these existing tools will change, as well as what other tools will be brought into the market to compete with UDIO and SUNO. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye.